I say Hank, what do you think of? Joke? Worst brawler in the game? Memes? Prawn ready? In this video, we'll be going through Hank's history. Hank was released on the 5th of June 2023 as a unique brawler because he was the first non-thrower who could hit over walls. Not only that, he had the charge up attack mechanic which was never seen before. Despite that, he was still an epic. However, his unique mechanic would be the reason why he'd be one of the glitchiest brawlers in Brawl Stars. Number 1, he could stop his attack by dragging the aim button back to the center. Number 2, if you stopped charging his attack too early, it would deal no damage. Number 3, if you were on top of a brawler, you would deal exactly 1 damage. Number 4, if you kept spinning way too much, that would make the next attack invisible. That's right, you wouldn't even see the bubble until you stopped dragging the button. However, the most infamous glitch was his damage glitch because it scaled way too high. This made him broken with brawlers like 8-bit with his turret, and the gear's damage boost was squared from 15% to 225%. Ruff's 8-bit showdown all became popular.
Just for that, I'm gonna put that in the F tier. Disgusting players. I don't want to see that ever again. I only endorse fair play.
This made him rival some broken brawlers like Rosa on release and Larry and Lottie on launch. A day after his release, they fixed his damage's inconsistency and gave him the rare skin. 5 days later, he would be hit with massive nerfs and a lot of bug fixes, decreasing his health from 6,000 to 5,000, his main attack damage being decreased by 200, supercharge rate decreased by 30%. After the bug fixes, they made the supercharge rate scale with the damage dealt. They corrected the super damage scaling when upgrading him, made it so that his super wouldn't deal extra damage at close range, and then they finally addressed the issue of the scaling of damage with outside buffs or power cubes. Keep in mind back then, it was the old health system, so a tank would have like 8,000. So the 10,000 damage tank was finally gone, and they even fixed his voice lines were taking damage. Really feels like Hank was trying to compete against Willow in the glitchiest brawler ever, but joke's on him, Willow has a new glitch every day. The devs weren't satisfied yet with the amount of nerfs they gave him, so they decided to give him even more 2 weeks later. Because before, his bubble would be invisible if he was in a bush. Now, attacking would always reveal him. Then, they decided to prevent passive healing while charging his attack. They massively nerfed the supercharge rate from 3 full hits to 5 full hits. And they nerfed the It's Gonna Blow star power, aka the better one, the speed boost from 20% to 10%. These nerfs turned Hank from crown of the game to clown of the game. Because all of a sudden, he was weak against everything. Pretty much everyone could counter him. He simply had too many issues, making him the worst brawler in the game. He tried so hard to excel at anything, but no, he sucked everywhere. 2 months later, Hank would finally receive his first buffs. 400 HP buff, 320 damage buff, from the super of course, and the supercharge rate increased from 5 full hits to 4. But Hank felt too comfortable at the F tier, refusing to leave. So Brawl Stars buffed him again a month later, increasing his health again by 400, main attack damage from the maximum charge they increased it by 300, supercharge rate 4 to 5, didn't we say that? Anyways, all brawlers health and damage were buffed from 5 to 10% from each power level. Long story short, he still sucked. I mean, there was way too much damage inflation back in the day. His weaknesses weren't properly addressed. He was still one of the worst brawlers in Brawl Stars. However, the devs there couldn't care less, as they gave him a new mythic skin which had some glitches, so they fixed it. Basically, the skin would be able to attack twice, and they changed his flavor text to include some war, just like what they did with every single brawler, so he didn't receive any balance changes. 6 months later, he would finally receive a bunch of balance changes, which this one were actually good. So they made that his super had a 50% life leech. Think of it as Mortis's super. However, to compensate for such a buff, they nerfed his health. This one was actually pretty good, helped him, though he still sucked. On the other hand, Hank missed how broken he was, so in the mutations update, he decided to give himself a broken mutation that made him trigger a weaker version of his super every time he would be hit, which really broke Heist. He would just go straight to the safe, and any damage he took meant the safe would be threatened, especially if you were a brawler that shot way too many projectiles, like with Meg's mutation, or Colt, or anyone I remember trying to kill a Hank who was just sitting on my safe, and I didn't understand the thing, like why did the match end so fast? However, life wouldn't be sunshines and rainbows forever for Hank, because right after the mutations were gone, he would be slammed back to reality. After a month, he got a tiny HP increase from 5,400 to 5,600, but the next balance change was actually great because they modified his mastery title from Lieutenant to Prawn Ready. But let's be honest, none of these balance changes made him any better. 3 months later, he'd get a cool super rare skin, Moon Guardian Hank, and 2 lame skins, the true and silver and gold ones. These 2 were added a month later. Stupid ads. As the last balance change he would get would be 2 months later in December, where Brawl Stars remembered he was a tank, so he was given the tank trait, which made people think he would become D tier. A Supercell character who was absurdly broken on release was given emergency nerfs so harsh that it basically killed them, and the developers tried to buff the character every few set of balance changes, and that wasn't helpful at all. And that character is a tiny being in under a big machine, making him a tank. Sounds very familiar to me. That's it for the video. I hope you liked it. In case you want more videos like this, comment, like, and subscribe if you want to. And I'll see you in the next one.